Over the years, we've been able to, take a shift from agri to oil as the mainstay. Will you agree? Has it been a blessing or a curse?
Oil has been a blessing to us. It's not a curse. It's mismanagement by human beings that is giving us issues. But oil has been a blessing to us. It has funded our budgets over the years. It has developed the country. Abuja was literally built on oil money. Part of Lagos was literally built on oil money. Then we'll say Ibadan was built on cocoa money. To God be the glory. Oil is a blessing. It's the people managing it and the way we've gone about it that is the issue.
All right. Idauza, let me take this to you. At the inception, Nigeria, had about 4 refineries, and if you look at the capacity at inception, they were at optimal level. But as we speak, they are not performing up to standard. In fact, the one in Port Harcourt, in Warri, they are under rehabilitation. Now, talk to us. What went wrong over the years when it comes to the management of petrol in Nigeria or crude oil in Nigeria?
Well, I would love to have taken it from the point of view where you asked that there was a shift from the agrarian economy to the oil economy. And I think it wasn't a shift, so to speak. And I think Nigerians must come to terms with this reality. I've had this conversation with a lot of intelligent people, especially economists, who believe that oil had been a cause, that we move out of agriculture because we found oil. And that was really not completely true. What is true, as far as I'm concerned, and also based on experience, is the fact that our inability over the years to add value to things nature has given to us had always been the problem. I like to share this very funny example. As a young chap, our region was known for rubber, and we tap rubber. And I remember with some nostalgia, while growing up as a child, even in the primary school, go to tap rubber. And on a Sunday morning, when the middlemen come to buy the lumps, we were very big boys, and we were enjoying life. We didn't know where oil was, and that was our oil, was bringing money into our pocket. Until all of a sudden, as we were growing up, entering the secondary school, we discovered that they were buying and there were no remittances. And then this story came and they said, oh, the last one they bought is in Sapele, they have not shipped it. It was when I grew up and I came to realize that what actually happened was the fact that the Western countries developed a synthetic product to rubber because there were a whole lot of things that were actually happening with the rubber, and some part of these things even was the corrupt nature of our people because somehow people make lump and they put sand in between stone so that it can weigh heavy. And now this was destroying the machines that they were using in processing this rubber.
Causing impurities.
Yes, impurities. So sometimes when they come to buy those days, they will use knife to cut it to be sure that there were no sand inside. But some people were also loading some woods inside just to increase the weight and earn more money. Now this was a problem that the white people who were buying the lumps were having to deal with, apart from the fact that the prices were skyrocketing, and then of course they found what was authentic to be used. And at that point, what do we have? We couldn't sell lump. And our parents couldn't leave the trees to be standing. So they cut down the rubber plantation to plant cassava.
Wow.
Now, I don't think any researcher had come to my village to ask us why we stopped tapping rubber.
What happened to your robbers?
Or what happened to them? So these are the narratives that we carry, especially with our lady intellectuals. And I think the same thing happened with cocoa and granules. You remember those days you were growing up as a child, you hear granite oil. Do people talk about granite oil now? We talk about vegetable oil. Because we started to blend kernels to produce vegetable oil. So what do you think happened to the granite industry? The granite farm? It will not be as profitable as it used to be. We used to drink beverages, cocoa beverages. Now almost all the things you drink now, they are all synthetic. Cocoa. Now all these things affected trade. So farmers were not getting the value. So they are looking for where to actually get more value. So people didn't move from farm to oil. People could not farm in some cases because what they were producing, there were not enough market for it. But on the other ground, you also saw that, especially in the oil-bearing region, come to the Niger Delta, for example, I did a complete study of NDTC work in the 9 states of the Niger region Delta in 2006. And it was amazing, the finding, that as at 2006, where people were buying sachet water here for 10 naira, it was only 20 naira in Bayelsa. Because number one, they can't drink the borehole water. It wasn't clean. Number two, there was also this acid rain that was spoiling their roofs. In short, those iron roofing sheets, if they put it in 6 months, the acid rain has spoiled it. So that's the increasing cost for the villagers. Many of the people who were riverine people who were used to fishing, oil spillages into the waters made it difficult to even find fish in the water. So their also business also was crumbled by exploration. So to that extent, you say, oh, for some people, especially those in the Niger Delta area, it was like a curse. Because their whole ecosystem changed. The things that they are used to is no longer possible. They can't do farm anymore because of the effect of the spillage of oil. So to that extent, you can say it's a cause. But if we take the narrative from Chooks, that Abuja was built and we are seeing bridges all over the places, it will be a blessing. But for the bearing community, the things that they have to suffer in terms of health, in terms of economic deprivation, it cannot be seen to be a blessing to them. Other people may have been enjoying it. That's on the one hand. But coming to the question of the refineries, I think, again, you look at it from the culture of maintenance. And I don't like using this word. But again, going back to the value system of our people, I was talking to a friend of mine on Sunday, just to give you a kind of a case study of what is in my heart. He took his vehicle to a mechanic to fix. And then he was supposed to change the part, and they gave him money for a part. And the man said the money was too expensive, that he knows people who sell parts, he will go and bring the part. And he said as he was going to go and bring the part, before he came, the pipe that was connecting the hose to this thing, the boy has broken it. So even if when he brought the part, he could not use the vehicle. And he said he was so mad all throughout that Saturday. And he was telling me on Sunday, I said, look, that man, for breaking that my part, he will not fix that thing. I have to take it to somebody else to go and fix it. Now, this is a tragedy in our nation. And this thing is widespread. You can't give your vehicle to a mechanic to repair. You have to stay If you ask somebody to drive your vehicle from here to Ibadan to go and drop something, if it's a vehicle using diesel, the driver will sell half of the diesel on the road. Now, all these things have affected the maintenance of our critical infrastructure. And that's why you see over the years, we have put so much money to fix this refinery, and this money gets into private individual pockets. Shortly jobs are done, and the refinery cannot really generate value. And now, they've now become all obsolete. Technology has overtaken them. And it's also unfortunate that our school system is not able to produce the adequate technology that can actually refine this product or to build a modern day refinery that will not be harmful to its environment.
Let me continue from where you started.
Okay, great.
I will still say that oil is not a cause. Because if I follow all you've said, you are still boiling down on the same thing. Human error, human management, human greed. So for everything that's happened in the Niger Delta, it's not the oil that caused it, but the human beings that are supposed to do the right thing are not doing the right thing. So we are the cause, not oil. Oil is a blessing. There are several countries that have oil, even those that live in the desert, that they didn't just get oil, they turned the desert into a farm, and they are producing. And some of them, we are buying grains from them. So how is it a cause?
Yeah, but that
It's
point,
the human beings.
No.
It's the human beings.
Yes, we are talking in human being. We're also looking at the level of your advancement. Don't forget that when Obasanjo came to power first time in 1976, one of the critical steps that was taken was the indigenization policy, which was actually to convert these basic assets of foreigner to Nigerian managed. Now the question,
what stopped it?
No, it was taken. Now the question was, from 1976 to date, did we really have the competence to drive this sector? Did we have the right technology to drive this sector such that this kind of things we're talking that is happening in overseas, where people have the right technology to drill oil such that the environment is preserved? Did we have these things? These are the things that we are suffering. So it's really not as if it's purely man-made. It's the fact that the level of our development as a people, there are some certain key policy issues that we cannot take. And once we follow that route,
Why can't we take
we
this?
get into that trouble.
Why can't
so
we take
what
those
we're saying,
policies?
we tell ourselves that we have the capacity to do it. And of course, you cannot do to the extent to which your capacity can drive you. Now, this is what is happening. Oil spillage, I don't think it's deliberate.
Sometimes it's deliberate. Some few years ago, last year, a ship was intercepted by the Navy. In order for them to escape, they abandoned the ship and leaked the oil right in this country.
All right. Let me take the discussion to Chooks now, so that it's getting more interesting, and I like that. So let me have your narrative. Now, at inception, we had 4 refineries, and we still have them. They were producing up to like 4.5 million barrels per day. Joint capacity, looking at the 4 refineries. But as we speak, it's less than 1.2 million barrels per day. What do you think led to this inefficiency?
He has already told us what
No, I want your own view.
The thing is this. The thing is this. When you bring in a technology you can't use, and the government is not deliberate, as in intentionally deliberate, in either acquiring that technology by money, stealing that technology directly, or making sure that your people are the ones operating it, then you have issues. You have issues. It's everywhere, from Ajokuta to the glass mill, down to the refineries. Who were those that were directly involved in setting up the refineries? Who were those that were directly involved in maintenance? A lot of those things were still contract staff, expatriates. then what happens to your own local people? Let me give you an example. In Texas, families run oil companies. And it must not be a big thing. It might just be a single rig. And it's owned by a family. And they make returns or taxes to the government. The same thing in refining. We mustn't go by the way of Dangote. That is an exceptionally good project. But we mustn't go by the way of Dangote. Right now, we have modular refineries coming. As long as they can refine 1,000 to 40,000 barrels per day, that's okay. So we can have all these modular refineries and have people do it. We have universities across that entire oil block location. Of what use are those universities to us if they can't produce or give us the science to refine oil? I don't know if I'm making sense. Of what use are those universities? PTI currently have a modular refinery, no matter how small it is. So why can't they share that technology across board to the universities across that place? So these are things I think the government should focus on. Make it a force. We must sell Nigeria. And how can we sell Nigeria? Technology is where we are right now. We are having fuel issues. You said something the other day. You said if we can take away the amount of dollar we spend importing fuel, half of our problem on dollar pressure or naira pressure is gone.
Yeah.
What's your take? There are people who argued since the technology is obsolete, you've been spending money on these refineries for years. Some are arguing that, okay, it's high time they are sold.
Yeah, but I don't think selling them is a problem. I've always had opportunity to have conversation with people in the public sector. And the last conversation I was having with them, especially in the area of procurement. Today, in supply chain management, there's what they call value engineering, which is very important. That if nations are going into purchases with other nations, you sign a service level agreement with the supplier to tell the supplier, yes, you are going to supply me this technology, I'm going to buy it. But as part of service you are going to render to me, you are going to train my people to be able to maintain this facility without recourse to you. They call it value engineering. And that happens in global purchasing. And many times when we sign agreements with people, which again go back to our value, is the fact that an individual who is signing that agreement with his pecuniary or her pecuniary motives will not factor the national interest into it. This is the real problem. Take, for example, we just mentioned again this morning the P&ID case. The person who facilitated that business that would have cost Nigeria for 11 billion US dollars was only given 100 million naira to sign off his nation.
Which year was that?
This is the challenge.
So if we calculate by dollar rates now, that 100 million has depreciated.
Oh yes, in value really. That was in 2009.
2009.
2008, 2009,
Like
when this case started.
40% of what?
Of what it was. So this is the real problem. So I don't think that we don't have the capacity to run refineries or to run critical national infrastructures. I just made mention of Aramco, Saudi Arabia oil petroleum company.
But
their profit alone last financial year, was 164 billion US dollars.
Their value system is way ahead
now,
of
that
us.
is the point I'm making. So it's not that public cannot manage infrastructure. What our problem is our cultural values that does not really support national patriotism. We are not patriotic people.
Like generalization?
I'm generalizing. Nigerians are not patriotic.
Maybe some.
We only mount patriotism. We mount patriotism as long as it favors us. If it is not favoring you, you use your mouth to denigrate the nation. We are not patriotic people. We only think about us, me and my family. As long as it's benefiting me, oh, it's right. If it's not benefiting me, it's wrong. That's not patriotism. We need people who will be able to speak truth on issues. How do you know somebody who is patriotic? You know him by the kind of value he holds. And this is where, again, consequences for actions have to be really emphasized. There's what they call
enforced.
There's what they call the fraud triangle. Fraud triangle says fraud happens if there is a pressure and, of course, there's an opportunity. I am under pressure. The money is in my hand. Now I need the last leg of the triangle, which is rationalization. If I eat it, what happens? Now, if the weight of the consequence is not heavy compared to the benefit that is accrued from what you are taking, people will go ahead and become corrupt or fraudulent.
And help themselves.
Yeah. So this is the issue. So there's always a pressure. And what has this pressure been is that those who work in public office, they are not paid enough. They are not well paid. And because they are not well paid, and somebody who is not well paid, you put money in his hand. Like my friend told me very recently, that there's a way you design a system, an institution, that the institution will make the Pope to become a thief, even if originally he does not want to be a thief. That is the kind of system we run, and this is the real problem. So you cannot give somebody who is counting your national money and is seeing billions, and you are paying him peanuts. Take, for example, our National Assembly. You know, that's one of the critical conversations that we're all having. We don't know how much they earn. But we do know that those are the upper chambers, by what Ramfak has given to them, that every month they are supposed to be taking 1.3 million naira per month.
1.3 million?
Yes. That's their salary.
Basic.
In a month. That's what is given to them. Now, you have a $600 billion economy, and your president is earning 3 million naira in a month.
Officially or unofficially?
Officially.
Okay.
All right.
Now, this is an issue. Whereas the MD of Zenith Bank or GT Bank is anytime times that amount. How do you really expect that this person who is keeping this your coffers will be patriotic to your cause? Now, this is a conversation we need to always have.
I don't want us to deviate from the topic. You know, we're looking at local production.
No, but what the picture I'm trying to paint is a natural picture of why it has been difficult to really manage our refineries.
But those in that sector are paid well.
What you mean paid well is in quotes, is relative.
All right, Chooks, let me put it to you. The issue of modular refineries has been on the table.
Okay.
What impact do you think this will have on local production of crude oil in Nigeria? Talk to us about it.
The impact will be felt if, one, we don't need 5, we don't need 10. Throw it open. Typical example of what happened with telecommunications. If you remember very well, it was a problem making a call within Nigeria, talk much of outside. People would travel out from outside Lagos to Lagos just to make a call. Then the GSM came. initially how much was SIM card. After a few months, how much is SIM card. Now they will dash you a SIM card. I don't know if you understand. Same thing with pricing. From 50 naira per minute, whether it drops a call or it doesn't drop a call, you pay the 50 naira. What is happening now? So throw that place open. Why the government doesn't want to do that? Well, they know best. There are issues, yes, but with time, they should throw it open. If I can refine 1,000 barrels per day, give me a license. If I am qualified, if I have the capacity to do it. If the next person in Agbo can do the same thing. If a community can do it, I don't know if let's have that. Let's have those kind of clusters. If we have 100, 150, even if it's 1,000 barrels per day, you take care of that whole issue of importation coming to that particular level. Another thing, the jobs you are creating. You are looking at the lower part of that production. A whole lot of people are going to benefit from byproducts, from other auxiliary industries that will also get into servicing or using the product coming from here. So we need more of. Not every conglomerate can afford a Dangote kind of money, or can be able to pull an EU or pull the foreign investor to come and drop that amount of billions here. But internally, we can get this.
The issue of modular refinery is not something that is just starting. Obasanjo actually started to issue that license during his second tenure. I remember vividly that that time about 6 or thereabout licenses were issued, and Orjius of Kalu was actually one of the beneficiaries of those licenses. Now the question was, why did the modular refineries not work? There were issues of extant legislations that actually empowered NNPC as a sole monopoly to sell petrol. So what the laws empowered them to do was that those who got a license were supposed to process crude for export when we have a market need for it here. So you're looking at it, you're going to refine the product here and sell to other people, but you cannot sell within Nigeria because NNPC had the monopoly. We're hoping that those rules and those laws, now by the Petroleum Industry Act, would have been broken such that people can produce petrol and sell them locally if there's a market here. So if I produce petrol in Benin, I don't need to ship it abroad to sell. I can buy the crude from Warri and refine it in Benin and then sell it in my neighborhood and make my profit. So I think that democratization is what is required, and that's what happened with a telephone that you mentioned, that people could really, NITEL monopoly was broken, and therefore these people could operate with free hands. But I think we are in the right timing now, as far as I'm concerned, with the Petroleum Industry Act, which has empowered that other people can actually refine products and sell. So if that happens, like we are seeing already, about 5 modular refineries have started operation. I learned last week Benin Modular Refinery was requesting about 300,000 barrels of crude daily to be processed. Now, once all of this are aggregated, and then of course the law of market, which is supply and demand, will play in the industry, and we could actually get petrol cheaper, and the industry can become much more robust.
All right, let me have your concluding thought now as we wrap up. The minister has given indication that the 4 refineries will be in Top Gear given the end of 2024. Are you optimistic, Chooks, that this will be the game changer, and then you have the issue of Dangote refinery? So looking at these 2 factors, what will be your recommendations as we wrap up?
Okay, for my recommendation, I am not a believer in government doing business. I believe government should strictly focus on policy, admin, minister thing, but I am not a believer in government doing business. Why? Because government money is nobody's money. Over the years, we've shown that. So let the private sector, let private individuals, private companies handle that set of business and make it return or pay tax to government.
A good example.
So you can hold somebody responsible. If the business fails, you pay what you owe to the bank. So if the business fails, what happens? Somebody will write off government bills.
Idauza, what's your take? He said government has no business in business.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, but I think government can do business if we are serious with ourselves, and I think that's just for it. I have seen other nations doing business, and then it's prospering. If it can prosper elsewhere, it can prosper. And I think what we just need to do is to create the right incentive. Now, there are too many free money around us as a people, and those things have to stop. If NPC is promising that they want to refine this thing, they must do it transparently. And then they must be able to make a business case for it. And that is important. It's not just to give us a promise that refineries are going to work. We have heard this over and over and over, and it has not worked. We hope this time that this will not just be mere rhetoric, it will be backed up with a whole lot of activity and actions that by the end of the year, we can actually see it working and producing refinery and selling oil and not making losses, but making profits like every other state-owned resources in the UAE, in Saudi Arabia, and other places.